It's September 14th, 2021, 6 p.m. The regular meeting of Board of Trustees of Colerain Township convened. We have Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Okay. And we'll be going for the executive sessions. We have a motion to go for the executive sessions.
Yes, sir. I recommend that the board move to go into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G1 to discuss the employment and compensation of public employees. Also in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G3 to discuss pending or imminent litigation with the township attorney. And also in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22G8 to consider confidential information relating to specific business strategy and discuss negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance.
I motion that we go into executive session for the items listed by Administrator Mills.
Second.
Okay, any discussions?
Not from me.
Okay, none. For none, Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
Okay. The Board of Trustees will be back after the executive sessions. Okay, it's 7 o'clock, September 14, 2021, the convening of Board of Trustees, Colerain Township meeting. Now we are back from the executive sessions. Mr. Mills, anything you need to report?
There's nothing to report, Mr. Rajagopal.
Okay. Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Here.
Mr. Waller?
Here.
Now, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for the moment of meditation. Let us pray and remember the soldiers who died in Afghanistan and for their family. We keep them in our heart. Thank you. Be seated, please. The next on the agenda is Fiscal Office approval of minutes. You have a motion to approve?
Yes, I'm for the August 24th, 2021 meeting, we're asking for approval of minutes.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the August 24th, 2021 meeting.
I second it. Any discussion?
Not from me.
None.
Okay. Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
Thank you. The next on the agenda is the presentation. Mr. Jeff Mills.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Rajagopal, Board of Trustees. It is my pleasure to introduce the next item, which is our first presentation for this evening. It's a proclamation for Clippard Instrument Laboratories. Clippard has been just a bedrock in our business community for going on 75 years now. Starting in 1952, Clippard Instrument Laboratory broke ground and has become a permanent landmark, as it says in the proclamation in Groesbeck. We are so glad that they're here. Just to put a little color on this, products that are made here in Colerain Township have been in outer space. They have been in Hollywood movies, and on most recently during this pandemic, they were a critical part of many of the ventilators that have been produced to fight the pandemic. It's incredible the work that they do, and we're so happy that they're doing it here. So there is a proclamation before.
Yes, and I would like to go ahead and read that. I'd like to read the proclamation recognizing September 14th, 2021 as Clippard Instrument Laboratory Incorporated Day in Colerain Township. Hamilton County, Ohio, be it proclaimed by the Township Trustees of Colerain Township that, whereas Clippard Instrument Laboratory Incorporated was founded in 1941 by William Leonard Clippard, Jr. and was incorporated in 1946. And whereas in 1952, Clippard Instrument Laboratory broke ground and became a permanent landmark along Colerain Avenue. And whereas the innovation of this ever-evolving company has made Clippard Instrument Laboratory the leader in providing miniature pneumatic air cylinders around the globe. And whereas Clippard Instrument Laboratory is known for its family-based operation and continues to be a beacon in the Colerain Township community. And whereas we congratulate Clippard Instrument Laboratory on celebrating 75 years in manufacturing and thank them for their leadership, commitment, and generosity to Colerain Township, its businesses, and its residents. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the Colerain Township Board of Trustees does hereby recognize September 14th, 2021 as Clippard Instrument Laboratory Incorporated Day in Colerain Township. And I would motion that we adopt this proclamation.
I'll second.
Any discussions?
Yes, the Clifford family has been marvelously generous here in Colerain Township, supporting so many things that nobody knows about, and also supporting our local YMCA. And it's a very well-run, family-operated business that I don't know if you struggle looking for employees or not, because none of your employees ever leave. I actually called there 30 years ago, and I was told that. They said, we don't have any openings because nobody will ever leave. So it must be a marvelous place on the inside, and you know, you and your family have done so much in this community. So thank you very much, and congratulations, and looking forward to the next 75. So.
Dan, thank you. I really agree with you, Dan. And we have the opportunity, myself and Jeff Mills, Mr. Bill Clifford took us a tour of the company. I was amazed. You know, all these years, amazed. The technology they use, the machines, the modern machines they use. Here in Colerain Township, and they supply all the things not only in our country, it goes all over the world. And then I was really, really amazed. I was saying, man, this in a Colerain Township, you know, we are producing this kind of instruments and used for. It was instrumental in the COVID-19, and we both were very shocked. Anyway, then we get to talk to the employees. The employees, like Dan mentioned, they're loyal employees. They've been working for years and years. Some of the product they assemble, they do like, you know, as I asked one lady, how you do it so fast? I've been working 25 years, you know. It's amazing. We are so proud of your company and all the your contribution to our community, Colerain Township. You are making our township the better place to live, and you're proud of it. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're pleased to be a part of this community. And
If you would like to speak, please come up to the mic. And for those people that don't know what Clippard is, if you could give us a little 1 minute of what it is you do there.
It's a
It should be on. No, just, no.
Yeah, go ahead. Go anywhere you like. Yeah.
Well, I'm Bill Clifford, president of Clippard Instrument, and it's been a pleasure to be in this community for so many years. I think this is Jen Connon. She's our VP of HR, and our grandfather started the company years ago. So we're thrilled to kind of get to the third generation and keep it going. And just pleased to be a part of this community. We both went to Colerain High School. We've been a part of the Y for many years, and you know, lots of great things here. So we're really appreciative of everybody here and all that you do for us, and just the great people that have come out of this community to come and work at our place. So thank you very much.
Jeff, you want to give?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, he's doing that. If I could just add,
Yeah.
thank you so much for what you do that's seen but also unseen in leading the business community here in Colerain Township. I know that some of the behind-the-scenes stuff people don't see, and you don't do it for credit. You just do it to make it a better place. And I think Raj hit it on the head, said it eloquently when he said you make Colerain Township a better place. And I'm so very happy that for your involvement the last 75 years, and we look forward to 175 more. So thank you so much for everything you guys do.
You know, Bill, and while you're here, we have your proclamation. I didn't know if you wanted to get Mr. Baker. He's never presented anything. So.
Yeah, Mr. Baker.
You want to present that to Mr. Clifford and Jen too? And Jeff is our fiscal officer, and he doesn't talk nearly as much as the three of us do. So
We got to take a vote to proclamation.
yeah, I think we've had our discussion now. I think we need to call for a vote.
Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Absolutely, aye.
Thank you, Mr. Bill.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. The next on the agenda is, go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
Yes, sir. So the next item is another presentation. This presentation will be delivered by Rachel Acra. Ms. Acra is a employee of Hamilton County Public Health that is working in Colerain Township every day as part of a community health advocate program. We are so lucky to have her in the office, and the work that she does is amazing. Ms. Acra, would you like to approach?
And I think that's still on.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Rachel Acra. It's okay. Everyone says it wrong. And I'm the Colerain Township Community Health Coordinator. Next slide. Just a little bit about me. I have my psychology degree I got from University of Cincinnati, and I have certificates in substance abuse counseling, substance abuse prevention, and violence prevention in schools and homes. I'm currently working on getting my CDCA preliminary, which is the first step to become a chemical dependency counselor assistant. My previous experience is working with mentally ill adults at Greater Cincinnati Behavioral Health and homeless youth at Lighthouse Youth Services. And I also currently work with Women Helping Women on the Divert team, so I respond with officers on scene. So a little bit about my position. Like Jeff said, I am employed through Hamilton County Public Health, and we're partnered with Colerain. I work here most of the time. I'm only at the health department one day of the week. I technically have two job titles, so the Colerain Community Health Coordinator and Health Counselor is what they call me at the health department. The goal of this whole position is to collaborate with the Colerain community and work to improve the quality of life of the Colerain residents. And my target is to address all social determinants of health. So this is basically what I do on a day-to-day basis. I serve as an expert/advisor for substance use disorder and addiction. That's a really big part of my job, which includes quick response team. I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with quick response team, but if not, I go out every Thursday with an officer and a paramedic, and we respond to people who have recently overdosed and try to help them get into treatment or give them harm reduction supplies so they can use in a safer way. I also work with the fire and EMS departments and police departments to provide care coordination and link individuals to resources. So if the police or paramedic is out on a call and they see someone and they're like, well, this person needs a little bit more resources, they need connected to some community resources, they'll let me know and I'll reach out. Something that's not implemented yet, but we're working on, is working with the Chamber of Commerce and the businesses in Colerain, just to kind of provide kind of what I do with the fire and EMS and police department, but for employers throughout the Colerain community, so they could refer employees to me that may need some extra help or may suffer from a substance use disorder or something like that. I also partner with the Northwest Local School District to provide prevention and intervention with students who are first-time drug and alcohol offenders. So if they get caught with drugs or alcohol, the school refers them to me. The parents reach out, I meet with them and just kind of talk about what's going on, why they did what they did. I do a short assessment and then give them recommendations. And last, I can provide trauma-informed care training and support to anyone in the community. Next slide, please. So this is some of our data. I know it's really small, so you can't see it very well. But this is from, we started in February, and this is until July. We don't have August done yet. But if you go to the next slide, I did some little bullet points. So from February to July, I've had a total of 168 clients referred from fire and EMS and PD. 142 of those were eligible. So clients that don't reside in Colerain are not eligible for my services. So that's where that kind of comes in. Of the 142, I've connected with 83, so I've actually talked to 83 clients about what their situation is, offered my services, which is about 58.5%. And then of the 83, I've actually referred 56 to services. So that's about 67.5% that are connected to services in the community. The top 3 referral categories that I've been getting, number 1 is addiction services. Number 2 is medical services, which is like, in-home health care if someone is suffering from a medical disorder and they just can't care for themselves or they need a primary care doctor. And then 3rd is mental health services. And last, a couple of challenges I've had. I've had some trouble contacting clients. Either they don't have a phone or they won't answer their door or they're homeless. Homeless is a really tricky situation because they're all over the place, Second, a lot of people just don't understand what my job is or what I'm doing, so they're just kind of like, I don't want anything to do with you. And that brings me to my last point. Some clients are just not trusting. They're like, I don't know who you are or why you're at my house, so I don't want to partake in your services. Next slide. That's it. Any questions?
Good. Rachel, I saw your job, and I want to tell that our residents, our township is the first township ever had this type of program. Absolutely. In everywhere, as long as I know of, in Hamilton County, the very first township creating this kind of job, health coordinator. I'm so happy about this, and you're doing a tremendous job. I get to know Rachel more because last month the Children's Hospital approached me. They want to start a program with the Colerain Township, especially for the mothers addicted, the pregnant woman, and they're ready to have a baby, their addiction problem. We need to have some treatment. Also, when the children is born, and become addictive, they need a treatment. There's some grant, and they want to start the program. They want to do the pilot program right here in Colerain Township. It was kind enough to our fire department coordinator, Chief Muller, and our police chief, Mark Denny, came to the meeting, attended. How the police department, the fire department, and you work together, a kind of coordination effort to serve that type of addicted population. I'm so proud of you, what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a great collaboration. The PD and the fire has been amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just add and thank, I'm sorry, Mr. Unger, were you going to go?
No, I just want to mention so people know we do follow up on some of the drug abuse responses that we have so that we're not just constantly going back and churning the same people through and through. And it's great that we offer that service. And thank you for being the person that does that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm going to get it right here, Mrs. Acra.
Yes.
How about that? I just have thank you so much for the work you're doing. I have 2 questions. Number 1, how can we help as trustees? I mean, we're interested in solving problems. How can we help make your job easier?
Well, I think presenting here, is getting the word out. I think the main thing is getting the word out so people in the community know who I am and what I'm doing, know that I'm a trustful person that works with the PD and the fire. A lot of people in the community do trust the first responders. So when I show up with the first responders, they're kind of more willing to talk. But when it's just me, they're just like, who are you? But I think getting my face out there, doing these presentations like this is very helpful.
And I think it's good to put a face to the issue. So I think one of the issues that we have, especially with mental health and probably addiction services too, is to call a random line in Hamilton County and not know who's going to answer the phone. If I were somebody in distress in Colerain Township, how would I contact you?
So I have business cards. I can give you guys some of my cards. I have a direct cell phone line that people can text or call, or they can email.
So how do they get, so if I'm at home right now watching this and I'm like, you know what, I need some assistance, I'm going through a rough patch for whatever reason, would I contact the township, or would I contact fire or police, or?
They could contact me directly.
And that's online, I guess?
Yeah.
And we're live on television, so what's the number?
You could also do 321 cops is an easy way to get
Is that a good way to do it?
I don't know.
Well, you could. So one way people have been getting a hold of me, if you call a fire station, a lot of times they'll route the calls to me. But if we are live on television, my number is 513-390-4431. and that's my direct cell phone. I can get text calls, so if anyone's struggling, I'm here to help. That's what I do. Connect to services in any way possible.
And occasionally, are we all right broadcasting that in different township things, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I know that I think it's less and less of a stigma now, but it's a serious issue in our community, I think, in our country. The other thing is and this is just from your kind of episodic, not really hard quantitative data, but just as you've witnessed, any patterns or any issues that have become patterns that we should be aware of, that we should, as trustees, kind of reach out with fire and police and yourself and Mr. Mills and Mr. Weckback in order to kind of, stop any issues before they become bigger or anything like that?
The biggest one I can think of right now is there is quite a bit of homelessness happening here in Colerain. Most of my referrals I get from PD are homelessness related, or just like difficulty with housing. And the biggest issue here in Colerain, and I don't know how this can ever get solved really, but there is no like emergency shelter here for people to go to. They're all in the city of Cincinnati, which a lot of Colerain residents don't want to go into the city of Cincinnati. So they'll choose to continue to stay on the streets and rather be homeless on the streets rather than go to the city for a shelter. That's something I'm struggling with too, because then it's hard to track the clients down. 'Cause, they're sleeping on this sidewalk or sleeping on this bench.
There's a general distrust of government.
Right.
I'll just add to that, if you're currently in your home and you have issues, especially with regards to COVID and keeping your home and paying bills, the county set up 513relief.org. That's 513relief.org, and they take, you can apply for rent, utility, small business, separate issue, but they do have that. The county does have funds available. I think there's a realization throughout the county and throughout the country that we're in a little bit of a difficult patch right now, and it's really taking a toll on people. And we're in it together, and we want to get through it. So thank you so much. Yeah. And
one thing to add to that, I know the application for like rental and utility assistance can be a bit daunting. They require a lot of documents. So if anyone needs help with that, I'm here to help. I've done it a couple times with some people, so I'm here to help get through that application.
Okay, great. And I know that the commissioners send a roving, I don't know, is it a bus or a bus around to help too. So please, if you're out there and you're struggling through some of these things, please don't feel like you're alone. There's everybody's experienced this at one time or another, and a lot of us are experiencing it right now.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda is citizen address. I got some people turned in some list up here. I go with Mr. Terry Benningfield. I want to, before the citizen address, I humbly ask you guys, make the presentation address for 5 minutes, because we got a lot of things to discuss, and most of the answers at the end of the meetings, administrative report will give the answers to this. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing me. My name's Terry Bedingfield. I've lived at 3438 Merrifield Court next spring for 45 years. I'm going to hand you all a petition from my neighbors on Merrifield Court, 3 of which lived there when I moved in almost 45 years ago. And this petition has to do with a neighbor who moved in almost 3 years ago now, who basically is a nuisance neighbor and takes care of nothing in his yard. So, my wife is very thrifty, and so she only made me so many copies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have some pictures.
Here's another. Could you, well, that's fine. Did you all get a copy? I got 2 of them.
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Mr. Caleb Lang moved into 3448 Merrifield Court almost 3 years ago, and since then has done virtually nothing to ever take care of his property. We have had instances of knee-high grass in the front yard. waist-high grass in the backyard, which grew so tall that it just fell over because it couldn't support itself anymore. Thigh-high grass hiding the fire hydrant in front of his yard. A tree in his front yard fell approximately a year ago. It laid there for 6 weeks. After 3 weeks of giving him time to remove it, I finally submitted a service request. 3 weeks later, apparently he was served some type of notice. They came, they chopped up the tree, and they moved all the parts to his backyard, where in one of the pictures you'll see it sits there in a nice pile, which to me seems quite a bit like a fire hazard. He has a dog. The dog feces has never been picked up in the backyard. When it's a 95-degree day and the wind blows from the west, it's not very pleasant to sit on our back patio. The garbage can is left on the street. There's a picture of that I've provided. For weeks at a time. It's been out there for almost 4 weeks now. You can see in the picture the brown spot from where it sat for a week before the garbage men moved it and put it in a different position. The thing I would like to stress is that this does not happen sometimes. This happens all the time. And I have to be perfectly honest, at 9 p.m. last Wednesday night, Mr. Lang actually mowed his front yard. Not the backyard, but the front yard. And the grass just lays on the sidewalk from that. And it will never be swept away, it will never be blown away. There's also the tree that you see in his front yard now that exists. We were told by a tree expert, who I believe the township uses quite a bit, Cincinnati Tree. They lived up the street from us, and they told us that when the one tree dies, the other tree will die too. Well, the one tree died, and it fell, and it laid there. The other tree is dying now. And if you saw it, you would know that it's dying, and it's going to be completely dead soon. And it will sit there until it falls, and I will eventually have to go to a lawyer, have a letter written up, given to Mr. Lang to say that if it falls in my property, he's going to be responsible for it. So numerous service requests have been given to the township over the years, and it seems that those are the only things that he will respond to. But then the grass grows again. The backyard that you see in the picture now is, again, 10 days older than it was when that picture was taken. And it won't be mowed until he's forced to mow it. In all fairness, I can't say one good thing about Mr. Lang. He's very quiet. And that's about the only thing good that I can say. There's also a picture of a privacy fence which is ready to fall into my yard that I had to wrap up with a bungee cord to keep it from falling. Told him about it over a year ago. Nothing's been done about it. I would like to relay one code enforcement item that just seems very strange. My wife and I, this was probably in April, and I realize I'm running out of time, but we were pulling out the street when the code enforcement person pulled in. And so we stopped him and we said, well, let's tell you what's going on. We said, now the front yard was mowed about 3 weeks ago, but it's already 8 inches high, and the grass on the area between the sidewalk and the street is already above the fire hydrant, and the garbage can's been sitting there for 3 weeks, and the backyard's even worse. The next day I went onto the website and my item was closed. It was stopped and nothing was done. So I don't understand. I know that code enforcement service requests have been taken care of before, but I don't know what happened that time. So it was very strange. So my neighbors and I really need your help because this person he doesn't care.
Is there anybody else living in the house that you know of?
He had 2 boarders. They moved out approximately a month ago. When he moved in, he had a girlfriend who was pregnant, had the baby. She moved out probably a year and a half ago. Right now, I think he is the only one living in the house that I know of.
There's no minor children living there that you're aware of?
No minor children living there that I'm aware of at all. No, I believe it is only him at this time.
Okay.
So
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate you coming to the meeting, and you gave all the information. We'll take action.
I
we
will-
would greatly appreciate that. And if you would just give me 1 minute on something completely off the subject, okay? You said that Clippard broke ground in 1952. My mother broke ground with me in 1952, and I thought I was going to be 70 in January. Where'd 75 come from?
It says 41.
Oh, 41. Okay, thank you. Now I'm not, I thought, God, am I going to be 75? If I would have known this was going to be on live TV, I would have worn makeup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Terry, before you leave, could you give me your phone number?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
can just write it on here. Just jot it down on there, would be great. I will come over and look at it.
Yes, I'd invite all of you to take a drive down Merrifield Court and see if you would like to
Just
have
put your-
Mr. Lang for a neighbor.
I've got that right, Beddingfield?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And all the people that signed our petition.
If I could get the same too from you.
Very well done.
We'll appreciate your
Thanks.
Thank you.
action. Thank you, sir. I'll put it in.
There we go. That'll work. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming out.
The next person will be Mr. Keith Miller, please.
Evening, sir.
Good evening, board, neighbors. Well, my concern is, I see you had 7 cars you plan on removing someplace. One of them isn't the one down on that autism camp to be, is it? The one down there at the end of Chopin?
I don't think that's on the list.
I just want to make sure we ain't towing something out of Springfield Township yet. But otherwise, that was my concern for tonight on the agenda, so I'm gonna let it go with that, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. How's that?
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
I'm gonna look everything over and decide then. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
That's the best address you ever gave. Thank you, sir. Yeah. The next is Kathy Moore, please.
Good evening.
Hello, Kathy.
Okay, first of all, I have a question regarding the Rumpke contract. The board approved the contract on April 13th with an extra 10-cent fee included. People weren't happy as that would accumulate over $200,000 in 5 years, the length of the contract. On May the 6th, Mr. Mills put out a video claiming the board was going to finalize the agreement on May 11th without the additional fee. On May 11th, the board consented to an agreement with Rumpke without this fee. I asked who made this decision, and the board replied, Jeff. Isn't all your contracts and everything like that, which you approved at a previous meeting, shouldn't that have been done by the board in a public meeting to approve that?
I think that contract was approved in a public meeting.
But it had the extra fee on it.
Right, and the amended or the final contract was approved too, I believe.
Yeah, it was approved by
Other
Mr.
fees was
Mills.
removed. That extra,
No, it was approved again by the trustees.
yes.
Mr. Mills approved it. He even got on video and said before the meeting that it wasn't going to be in there.
Yeah, I don't know what you're referring to in the video, but it was approved by the board.
It was on a consent item.
That's still an approval.
I think we should let Jeff answer that
Okay.
during his his administrative report.
Mr.
Okay.
Mills, you will address that. Go ahead, Kathy.
Meeting after meeting, I make comments and ask questions. and I see you up there writing most of the time, which I assumed that you were writing down the questions I was asking, but maybe not. Maybe you were just doodling, I don't know. But I seldom get an answer. When Mr. Mills gives his report, he usually comments, but yet doesn't always answer. I asked if the board was going to prepare a policy for gifts and donations. Mr. Mills's response was, "Yes, Ms. Moore, you're right. We don't have a policy." Not one board member could answer and did not ask Mr. Mills to answer. I'm guessing that you're not going to draft such a policy. It was recommended in the 2018-2019 audit after 2 incidences of the township violating this policy. Dan, this is why people ask if you know what's going on. I see in the job openings that there is an opening for a uniformed police officer under administration, and I'd like to know what exactly that is for and what purpose. Referring back to the Plattenberg Agreement to answer questions, we have a fiscal officer, a finance director, 2 account finance specialists with another opening for another account specialist on the job openings, totaling over $250,000 plus in salaries. And yet we have a private CPA firm perform certain responsibilities. Invoices state that they are preparing financial statements, services provided in connection with GAAP conversion, coding receipts and disbursements, and bank reconciliations. Those responsibilities fall under the finance department. The township has an accounting system supplied by the state auditor that complies that compiles and prints all reports from the information put in. But we see from the previous audits that the township is not inputting the information correctly. Why? Why is that? You have an accounting system, you put in your expected receipts from the Hamilton County Auditor, you put in your budget figures, and then the system takes care of reporting that. Instead of fixing the problem, the board enables employees to outsource their responsibilities, costing taxpayers more. No one is held accountable. We have to hire someone to make the corrections that were screwed up. If a CPA is needed, hire or outsource the job to a CPA. Do you, as trustees of the meeting, want the job done by someone competent? We are seeing the same thing that happened with the previous finance director. She did a terrible job, and then she got a contract with a $13,000 raise. Concerning Mr. Unger's comments about change orders that the state auditor recommended were approved by the board, Mr. Unger, your account, I guess, I don't know exactly how previous board members approved that, but when I was there as clerk, they did do that. And you said that you read all my minutes. So if you read them, you should have seen in there that the board approved change orders.
Mr. Rajagopal, the time has expired.
Go and wrap it up, Kathy, please.
Maybe if you attend some training, you would be more knowledgeable about the process. The state auditor recommended in a recent audit that the board did not approve change orders, which they are supposed to do. If you have a contract for $500,000 and you have a change order for $9,000, you're not opening a new contract. You're making an additional amount, adding an additional amount onto the contract, the original contract. It should be approved by the board. I don't understand the reason for not wanting residents to know and why the board thinks it's okay. It's improper and should be corrected, but that's okay. You can just keep making violations because we keep watching them. In a previous meeting, Mr. Unger commented about backbones of elected officials on the board and another Republican endorsed candidate by name. Please keep your campaigning and politics out of our meetings. You say you have backbone because you ran for trustee and put yourself
Kathy,
out
would you
there.
please wrap it up? We got
Okay.
Thank you.
You say people complain, but yet they aren't running for trustee. I never saw you at a meeting prior to your running 4 years ago.
Thanks,
And
Kathy.
one more. As I told Mr. Enderhees a couple of years ago, and was removed from the meeting by a police officer, if you can't handle the criticism, you shouldn't be in that chair. So I just say that your behavior towards Mr. Fiddledy was very uncalled for.
Okay,
And you
Kathy,
can
go
think
ahead.
that's funny. Why don't
I
you
will
laugh?
answer, Kathy, I will answer all this stuff.
Your
I'm
time's up.
having a hard time writing it down
You're
fast
dead.
enough.
Yeah, you are
Dan-
writing it down. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Kathy,
you.
I appreciate very much. I'd like to stay on the 5 minutes thing. Give the opportunity other people can talk. The next on the agenda is Glenna. Yes, ma'am. Yes, go ahead. Come on.
Hi, Rod. Hi, Dan. Hi, Matt.
Thank you for
Everybody.
coming out.
Thank you for having me. I'm Glenda Smith. I'm here to tell the Colerain residents what the Glenda A. Smith Youth Sanctuary has to offer its citizens as well as the entire Hamilton County. Glenda A. Smith Youth Sanctuary was, our mission is to bring nonprofits, businesses, and governments together to provide resources to children and families to maximize their potential. We currently provide 2 services and are working on a third. The first service we provide to the community is a Zoom youth discussion series for ages 9 to 18. It answers basic questions like who am I, why was I created, it's biblically based. It meets every Sunday from 5 to 6, and for every 4 sessions a child attends, they receive a gift card. The second service we provide is for family preservation. It's a gift card for anybody who needs help getting through the week. It can be for food, gasoline, crock pot, shoes. All the person has to do is email gasmithys@gmail.com, gasmithys@gmail.com. And for the Zoom Youth Discussion Series, just go to the website, gasmithys.com, to get the meeting ID and passcode. The third thing we're doing is raising money for a youth residential facility to house homeless youth. That facility will be built on church property that has been allocated to us, and it will predominantly house youth from Hamilton County. And it will teach faith, work ethic, and charity. And the reason why this Glenda A. Smith Youth Sanctuary was created is because I was raised by a single parent who had limited resources, and because of my faith, charity, and work ethic, I have a doctor's degree. I'm a practicing attorney. I have a master's in public affairs, and I have a degree in hard knocks. So if you have any questions, let me know. But please, I ask the community, don't be prideful like I was. If you need something, please reach out. So.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Very much.
Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you. Just a quick question. I'm looking at your website now. Where are you located?
At 119 East Court Street.
Okay.
We don't anticipate anybody coming down there because I don't even like going down there because of parking. So most of the time, well, all the time, we go to the individual. And then we have had some outreaches at different places like Gabby's and New Prospect Church, where people did come to us. And by the way, you had a wonderful harvest parade. It was the longest parade I've ever been in. And I was a majorette as a child. You had a lot of festivities, and it must take a lot of effort to pull something like that off. So you guys did a fantastic job.
Thank you, ma'am. It'll be a great resource for the youth in our Colerain Township. Rachel, I see her taking notes.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Rachel.
She's taking notes, and we need that type of program for our youth. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Oops.
Thank you again.
And I also note from your website that you are looking for volunteers too to help engage young
Absolutely.
young folks and get them on the right path and
Absolutely. Because they are our future.
yep.
Thank you, ma'am. The next on the agenda is administrative reports.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Rajagopal. We'll begin our administrative reports this evening with the fire department. I'd like to invite Chief Walls to the podium.
Welcome, Chief. Good evening.
Good evening to the board, everyone in attendance, and those watching from home. For the report tonight, the August 2021 emergency incident activity, we responded to 865 EMS incidents, 166 fire incidents. We made 44 responses into the Springfield Township EMS contract area. Significant incidents, we had a building fire in the 5200 block of West Kemper Road with a $95,000 loss. And we had a building fire in the 9700 block of Dunraven with an $80,000 loss. Our reported property value loss was $175,000 and saved was $112,000. Not something that we exactly like to see, losing more than we save. But for the year, we've saved 87% of the properties that we've responded to with building fires. Our average response time for the arrival of the first unit was 5 minutes and 7 seconds, and our first unit on the scene less than 6 minutes was 73.39%. I would like to say that Rachel is an invaluable resource that we have here in Colerain Township. It provides a value-added resource for the community, and we're very thankful and grateful for her assistance. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, next we have Chief Mark Denny giving the police report.
Good evening, board. Just to echo Chief Walls, Rachel, the addition of Rachel to our lineup here has really enhanced our ability to deliver services to the community. So this is a tremendous opportunity for us to be a step ahead of everybody. Like we always like to be the first to try something new, and this is a great opportunity for us to deliver more than what most police and fire departments do to their community. So thank you for everything you do. For August, police department responded to 3,702 calls for service. We averaged about a 4-minute response time on emergency calls. Officers made 138 traffic stops, 8 DUI arrests, and engaged in 3 traffic pursuits. They made 148 physical arrests, and we had 1 use of force. On that note, we had an interesting conversation with somebody about how often they perceive the police department use this force when we have contact or when we make an arrest. We have about 60 to 70,000 citizen contacts a year, and this person felt that about a 10% use of force rate would be acceptable. So that's 5,000 to 6,000 uses of force a year. We average about 15 uses of force per year. So for the month of August, we had 1 use of force for 185 physical, or 148 physical arrests, and probably close to 8,000 or 9,000 citizen contacts. So it's not what you see on TV. It is a very rare occasion where officers use force. So And we're not special. That's pretty much the standard amongst all police departments, you'll see. For the code enforcement portion for August, actually I'm going to go back for 4 months. We've had 63 impounded junk vehicles, 233 overtime parking and abandoned vehicles dealt with, 1,288 inspections, 655 complaints, and of those 490 are closed. The officers engaged in a tire store inspection where they're making sure that the disposal procedures that they were following met up with our standards and made sure they weren't just being tossed on the side of the road. As you'll see in a lot of places, you'll see tires piled up, so we're making sure that they're following the law on that. They engaged in 197 emails and phone calls with our residents and arrested 32 solicitors and handled 9 open burns.
Chief, I just want to convey, you know, I know that police from all branches are a brotherhood. The loss of Deputy Mills from Butler County, if you've heard, retired and went back. I think he'd only been back for less than a year and contracted COVID and died over the weekend. And so sorry for your loss. With that, I know that Butler County is pretty broken up about the loss too. So
thank you.
Thank you for all that your men and women do out there for us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chief, for all the service you do. Your stat tells you you guys are very busy and helping the residents.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. The next report will be given by our Finance Director, Mr. Jeff McElravy.
Good evening, Board.
Hello, Jeff.
Mr. McElravy.
3 things to share with you this evening, briefly. The first is that the state auditor recently released the single audit for the township for the year 2020. And we're excited to share with you that the auditor issued a clean opinion on our financial statements, including something called the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards, which is the audit of the federal funds that we received last year as part of the CARES Act. So this is very good news. The auditor also reviewed the township's policies and practices related to transparency and the management of public records. And the township received 4 stars from the state auditor for, quote, the highest achievement in open and transparent government. Only 14% of the governments that were audited last year received this distinction. And that's 2,812 audits that they conducted in total. So we have a lot to be proud of in that front, I think. There are a couple of items that came up in the course of the audit that are opportunities for improvement that we have addressed or that we are addressing. The first has to do with how we book revenue for our EMS runs. It's been our practice going back quite some time that we would book this as a fee. Now, the auditor has determined that it would be more appropriate that we book it as a charge for service. So we have gone through and updated our process to make that change. To me, it's sort of a distinction without a difference, potato, potato, but if that's the way they want us to do it, then we'll do it. And we have done that going back into 2019 as well. The second thing that is an opportunity for improvement has to do with how we present our budgetary amounts compared to appropriations. And they found that the budgetary amounts posted in the accounting system exceeded appropriations. And this is a function of how we sequence our reporting as part of the year-end process. So we are going to change that sequencing for the close for 2021, and that should not be an issue going forward. Now, in order to reach this clean opinion for the audit, the team of auditors reviewed thousands of records. They reviewed receipts across all funds, payments, including purchase orders and blanket certificates across all funds, all of our payroll information, including new hires, terminations, and payouts, They reviewed the balances in each of our accounts at the bank. They reviewed our EMS runs and our billing, our responses to public records requests, pending litigation, policies and procedures related to cybersecurity, donation acceptance, and purchasing cards, our Ohio Traffic Safety Office audit, which also resulted in a clean opinion, our public officials bonds, the township healthcare stipend, the township mini grant program and awards, the township's false alarm contract with PMAM, and also our lighting districts. And after reviewing all of that, the headline is a clean opinion on the 2020 audit. So we wanted to share that with you. The second bit of news that we'd like to share is that the township this week received the first half of the grant funding from the federal government for the American Rescue Program. So that is a little over $3.7 million for the township to be able to invest in priorities as part of the 2022 budget, which is just getting started and is a nice segue for me to be able to share that there are a couple of engagement sessions coming up on the 2022 budget. The first is next Monday, September 20th. That's going to be from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. It's going to be virtual. The second meeting is on October 4th, same time, 6:30 to 8 o'clock. And there is a link to each of those meetings on the events tab at colerain.org. So if you're interested, please do join us and share your thoughts on our priorities for the budget year ahead.
Thank you, Mr. McAfee.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate your
Thank you.
work and getting the award from the auditor's office. That's great work.
Very good, and that leaves me, I believe. So to answer some of the questions that came up in Citizens Address, the gentleman from Merrifield Court, gosh, I totally understand the frustration, right? Living next to a property owner that will not keep their property maintained is extraordinarily frustrating and affects your quality of life. My suggestion would be to continue to put the request for service into our system. I looked while he was talking. There have been 4 this year, and it sounds to me like the gentleman is responsive when our code enforcement team comes out and posts the door. So my suggestion would be to continue to do that. It's not a bother to us. It's the reason why we're here. So please do continue to put in those service requests. Let's see, Ms. Moore asked about the Rumpke contract. I was able to pull up the minutes from that meeting, and it appeared to me that, hang on, let me see if I can find it. The trustees approved a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the township administrator to enter into an agreement with Rumpke for solid waste and recycling. So there was a draft copy of the contract that was in that agenda packet. I was able to negotiate a better deal for Colerain Township residents by removing the 10-cent fee. That, I believe, is a good thing. And once the negotiation was complete, I executed the contract, brought it to the trustees at the May meeting. I think that that's a good outcome. I mean, Colerain Township residents are paying less because of it, right? And it's very clear in the minutes that the trustee authorized the administrator to execute the contract. I negotiated a contract, executed it, brought it back to the board. That's how business in public service gets done. That's how transparent governments do business. And as we heard from Mr. McElravy, the Auditor of State has identified us as one of the most transparent governments in the state with 4 stars. That's outstanding. And that's not just our township government, but also our CIC earned all 4 stars in transparency. So it's a core value. Transparency is a core value that Colerain Township has, and you see it manifest in all of our endeavors. And the reason for that is because we're proud of what we do, right? And so we want people to know all the great things that we're doing. We are transparent about it. And if there's something that we're doing that the trustees or residents don't want us to do, well, this is the forum for discussing that. And I'd always appreciate the interaction and suggestions that occur here. So that's sort of how the Rumpke contract unfolded. Why do we use Plattenberg? I think succinctly, it's cheaper to buy a couple hours of a CPA's time than it is to have a CPA on staff. And so we can't keep a CPA busy 2,080 hours a year, but we certainly do have questions that come up from time to time, and it's very helpful to be able to have that resource. And so I just disagree with the characterization that we're like outsourcing our jobs because we're lazy or something. We just need expertise that we don't have in-house, and that really is, in my opinion, the most financially responsible way to handle that. I think that was all of the, there was something about what a uniformed police officer does. All of our job descriptions are on the website, so it's very easy to see ranges of pay. It's also very easy to see what a police officer does. A police officer? Most certainly is. Okay, well, it's a police officer. It's the same thing. Okay. This isn't really the forum for a debate. If you'd like to give me a call, I'm happy to talk to you about that. Yeah, sure. A police officer is a police officer, and we define what that is in our job descriptions, and we publish that on the website on our transparency portal. Okay, a couple things in my administrative report. This Saturday, we held our remembrance of September 11th. It was a beautiful day, eerily similar to 20 years ago when it was a beautiful day on September 11th. Blue skies, and it was the right thing to do. As we mentioned there, we all vowed never to forget, and there was a group of folks that came together to make sure that we did not forget that important day. Our audit, I can't say enough how much I appreciate the dedication of our finance director, our fiscal officer, and those in administration that had to prepare all of those documents, those thousands of pages of documents for the auditor to review. When we get down to the nitty-gritty of a fee versus a charge for service, I mean, we'll make that change, and you're absolutely right, but I think that it feels very validating and I hope that all residents know that they're in good hands financially and that things are being handled appropriately. I hope that next month I'll have some good news related to the Springdale Road sidewalk. There's according to our sidewalk plan, we've identified a segment from Colerain Avenue to Laura Linda, and we've applied for what are called TA grant dollars to help fund that segment. I saw that it scored very well in at the Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana Regional Council of Governments, and I really do anticipate that next month we'll have some good news to report there. And also, I want to underline one final thing. Mr. McElravy mentioned it, but please do join us next Monday at our virtual town hall meeting where we discuss, the first meeting we're going to be discussing strategic planning priorities, and the second meeting on October 4th we'll be discussing budgetary priorities, and particularly allocation of ARP, CD, which is the American Relief Plan dollars that Mr. McElravy mentioned, also community development block grant dollars, and also hopefully we can have a conversation about economic development that will inform a future work session that the trustees will have on that topic. And with that, I will end my administrative report.
Mr. Mills, thank you. I have a couple questions. I know everybody's going to hate me. I have more than a couple questions about some things that have come up kind of driving around as I look at other townships. First of all, thank you for the 9/11 remembrance. I think that was very well done. One of the things I wanted to ask about, and I saw this actually in Miami Township of Dayton. So I'm a nerd. I have a notebook in my car, and when I drive through other places, I make notes of what I like. And I think for Veterans Day, July 9/11, July 4th, Memorial Day, and some of the items, they line the the road around the administration with flags, with U.S. flags. And I think that, we all know that the percentage of veterans in Colerain Township is much higher than in Hamilton County generally. Actually, Miami Township just does it awesome because they have the same lighting poles that we have, and they have things to hang flags off there. So I'm wondering if we could get together and come up with they're just regular flags and they PVC pipes in the ground or something as a way to just kind of, again, honor that as it comes to like benchmark dates. I think it's an inexpensive way, and it's, I think it's necessary to remind people of the sacrifice that others make so that we can be here and on those days remember. So I don't know if that's something that
Yes, sir.
we can motion on, or if we can look into and maybe you can come back with something. Also, we hired the trash person, and how's that going?
Good. Yep. Good.
Okay.
So we've got one part-time person hired, and we have another part-time position that is yet unfilled. And so, if anyone knows anybody who would like to spend 20 hours a week making Colerain more beautiful, send them our way.
Fantastic. I just would bring up that I don't know if we then need to then revisit the contract that we have, or we continue to do that as needed, or if that's going to change the calculus on how often we do that, or whether we still do it. I guess I'm kind of looking for, is that something we need to look at?
Sure.
I contacted probation department, community service program, talked to community program, the chief of community relations, Jody Lees, and she going to send that. Now the probation department back on normal,
Okay.
picking up the crews. So she wants me to send some streets and places to clean up, pick up the litters. And I'm going to send her a text, and probably going to start this Friday. That's additional, the Colerain Township is a large township, and our priority this year is 2021 is a clean beautification of Colerain.
Right.
And it'll help.
The contract though that we're paying for, then are we gonna elongate how often they do that, or I guess.
So I guess the question is, we were in a place when we signed that contract where we were unable to find anybody to pick up the trash,
right.
and we felt like Colerain Avenue corridor was the one with the most eyes on it, and so that was the one where resources. Given that it's one of the top 3 priorities of the board, let's hit that with a contracted litter pickup. So I guess the proof is in the pudding. Do you like what you see? If you like what you see, we can continue to do it and deploy those part-time resources on county roads. Or if you feel like the bang isn't worth the buck, then we can shift those resources.
Okay, well, maybe we should come back and look at that. There's a demonstration effect on this, is that you don't see the trash till you're looking for the trash sometimes. And that's, it's driving through, when I wasn't a trustee looking for trash, it didn't occur to me. And then now I'm looking everywhere. And it may seem like there's a lot more to me. It may have not gone up at all. It's still an issue. Okay. The other thing, I talked to you about our good friend Delhi Jack and his implementation of trash cans in Delhi Township. Is that something that you've had an opportunity to look into yet, and maybe getting some cans out? We don't have any trash cans, whether it's at a bus stop, which I think that's part of the grant, or anywhere else. That doesn't guarantee that people are going to use them, but at least it's maybe a viable option.
Yep. The cans are the easy part. I can get cans out there in a couple weeks' notice. The hard part is operationalizing the pickup. So, who's going to pick that up, and what are they going to stop doing in order to do that? So if it's our maintenance workers, we're already short-staffed in our maintenance worker department, or if it's the litter pickup guy.
Right. As you recall, we talked about a conversation that was at somebody that a colleague of ours had from the school board that had with a business individual in the community.
Right. Yeah, I can. Yep.
Okay. And again, I'm sorry to kind of overwhelm this. We also talked about, and I don't know, I have Chief Denny always has the example of the citizen that called in again and again and again with complaints about trash, and they didn't know what to do, and they were trying to watch and see who did it, and they put up a sign and it stopped. I think I characterized that correctly. And we had talked about, I had talked to you about maybe do we get signs? Is that part of the solution too? Is to put signs up and say, look, if you, I don't know, whatever, if you trash, you pay some cash or whatever we want to.
Fines.
Yeah.
Do we still have the ordinance in Colerain? Chief, if the litter fines for that, is that Colerain ordinance?
Yeah, that's a Ohio Revised Code statute. And were you thinking sort of a residential campaign, like where we put yard sign, get print up yard signs?
Actually, I'm thinking of, so there are certain areas that I think are maybe gray areas. So if you're going south on Colerain and you turn into the mall entrance that has the Burger King to the right, and then to the left, there's, I think, some kind of medical personnel place. That little island, I don't know who's on the left-hand side, that gets trashed up like a ton.
Sure.
Because I see Burger King people out there all the time picking up stuff, but I don't see anybody picking that stuff up. And just let people know, hey, we're watching. I don't know if it make a difference or not.
Just to play devil's advocate here,
Yeah.
it is, those snipe signs are illegal, and we take them down.
Not snipe signs, I'm talking about litter signs.
Yeah, well, that type of sign is not legal, and we actually remove them from rights of way. If it was like, those types of things are better done, I don't know, we can talk about different ways to accomplish signage to address.
Okay,
litter.
sorry, and I've got two more, and then I'll leave, I'll quit pestering you. I think it's just two more, yeah. The Lake Gloria, the developers, put the play set that sat there up on Facebook, what is it called, Facebook Marketplace today?
Oh, okay.
And I had multiple citizens say, and I don't know the condition of it. Multiple citizens say, hey, they're looking to get rid of this. I think it's $70,000 or $80,000 worth of playground equipment that they want, like, that their asking price is like 10 or 12 grand. Is that something that can accentuate one of our parks, or I don't even know what shape it's in?
Right. Yeah, we actually chased that one down, and when we were talking to our property and casualty liability insurance brokers, they said that that would be a bad idea for us to use and repurpose those.
And I thought that there would be an issue. And the last one that I have for you, I can't find now. So the snipe signs. Again, this is something, I don't know if it'll work or not because we don't have proof of who put them up. But as we take these down, what if we had somebody from the administration or from the police department call and say, look, somebody's putting these up. I don't know if it's you, but this is the number on here. We're going to keep taking them down. Maybe take them somewhere else.
Yep.
I mean, it can be as low-key confrontational as possible, and maybe we catch one or two people that say, you know what, it's just not worth it, and maybe we don't. I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of the really neat things about when we started the environmental crimes unit in our police department was we tasked Officer Boyd to that post, and he is fantastic in those situations, and he does actually call those folks, and he has no scruples sharing with folks that what they're doing is not right, and so he has started doing that, and that's a great idea.
Yeah, back to Lake Gloria on the playground equipments. I've seen it's been there for over, I think, about 10 years or so. I knew about this playground equipments because I run the daycare. I buy them brand new. I tell you what. We don't know what condition of the thing is, any things we put on the park, in our park, a playground equipment has to be inspected.
Yes.
Inspected by the government. They come and do the inspection, pass inspection. It has to pass all the safety standard. It is good because of the protect our children getting hurt. Now, the cost of, they're asking what price, Matt mentioned about what other price they're asking for that. I got an email. I respond to one of the residents about that to the email. The cost of digging out the whole playground equipment and transporting them to the park and installing them, then it has to be inspected. Safety has to pass. Bill is a businessman. He probably tell you, it's enormous. It's cheaper to go ahead and buy the equipment, install it, and the manufacturer will install it. They give the warranty, lifetime warranty. I have some equipment in my daycare. It's a lifetime warranty. They give a lifetime warranty. They check for all the safety standards. We have to be very careful to get into that type of the township buying it, that kind of aged playground equipment, installing in our park, and it takes us to a lot of liability lawsuits. Yes. Okay, that's my suggestions or opinion. Okay. All right, you done with it?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Mr. Mayor?
yep.
Thank you for your
Yeah.
patience.
Yeah, no problem. Yep.
All right, let's go to the, next on the agenda is a trustees report. Anyone want to go first?
Let me collect my thoughts here.
Okay, you want me?
Yeah, sure, I'll go ahead, and I'll start off with something fun and positive. On Sunday, I attended a 98th birthday party for one of our township residents, and I'd like to say happy birthday to Mrs. Sally Holthouse. She is a very long time resident here. There were over 100 people at this event, and I want to say I was told there are 141 great-grandchildren, which is what happens when you're 98 and you start out with a large family. She is in marvelous shape. I see her in church every week, and she is just keeps going, and she is a marvelous person, and happy birthday, Mrs. Holthouse. Code enforcement. You know, in the last 4 years, we have had thousands of code enforcement actions and picking up trash, and I think the township is a better place because of the emphasis that we've put on that. When we're talking about benches for bus stops and trash cans, and I did not get to listen to this, but I heard earlier today that there was a press conference where the city and county were going to announce that they had enough money that they were going to budget to finally start on a replacement for the Western Hills Viaduct, which is a 90-year-old bridge that probably should be planned for replacement soon. And it concerns me if they are going to bond out all the anticipated revenues from Issue 7, which affects people here in Colerain Township because that's an additional sales tax that we pay. I will have to get more details on it. I know there was an announcement at 4 o'clock today, but I was actually out riding around looking at some of the stuff on our...
I believe they committed $8.2 million for 25 years. So I don't believe that they've bonded it out, but they've...
And I hope they don't, because then all of a sudden the county's up against that'll be the first thing that has to be satisfied, and then the smaller places like Colerain Township will never see our grant money that
again,
we've applied for.
Those $8.2 million might be the bond payment, so I don't know.
Yeah, I had hoped from the beginning they would not do that and just spend the money as it came in rather than having that encumbrance. To respond to a couple of Mrs. Moore's comments, Mrs. Moore was the clerk here in Colerain Township for quite a few years, and a few years ago, she sent me an email, which I responded to, challenging me to go back and look at how things were done previous to my time here, specifically in 1997. And I did go back and start looking. I still have the email, but I'm going to go ahead and.
Please let the trustee give.
Yeah, let me go ahead and speak. I still have the email where you said you need to go back and look to 1997 and see how I used to do things. So what I did, and I think it's important for the trustees, and I would encourage the other trustees too, I have gone back and read the minutes starting in 1990 all the way through current. And I actually, starting in 97, I went through and wrote up a draft critique, which ended up being a 40 to 50 page document. And if anybody would like it, I've used the township email to send it to Mr. Baker, I believe, in the past. So if you want a copy of it, you can call me at 404-3057 or send an email to my township email address, which is dunger@colerain.org, and I'd be happy to send that to you, and you can read my response to a lot of these. As far as me never attending a trustee meeting, that's incorrect. I know I'm in the minutes at least once because I was here in 2012 when the house next door to mine became abandoned, and the grass got to be a foot tall, and I came to speak to the trustees at the time, and just told them I was going to start cutting it just so they knew, because it's immediately next to my property, and I happen to know that is noted in the minutes. So to say I was never at a meeting is not true. From 1994 to 2015, I attended every single Northwest Local School District Board meeting from the first time I considered running through the end of my term in 15, and those are on second Monday nights. And there was a few sparse times in there I did attend trustee meetings, but to imply that I'm not civically involved is the facts would speak differently to that. I was at, you can go back and look at those minutes, I'm all over the place there, and I think it's important for people to learn what goes on in our public school district. As far as Plattenberg and us outsourcing work, I think it's important to have somebody besides our internal staff look over, final documents we're about to submit, because it's putting an outside set of eyes on things. And for an organization with a budget that's, somewhere between $35 and $40 million, depending what year it is, I think it's money well spent. As far as the comment that came up last week about Backbone, there was a resident that showed up and was pretty disparaging to all the trustees, and said none of us had any backbone. Well, this is the same resident that in 2017 called me in March and said, I'm going to run for trustee. And I said, great, I'll pay your $30 filing fee, please do it. And he ended up not running. And, I didn't see the other trustees caring to take up the charge of defending ourselves. And I pointed out to him that these guys do have backbone. And I appreciate Matt and Raj and Greg, who was here previously, and Jeff and Mike and every trustee going back. It's something to get up here and take hits and stuff. And personally, I enjoy it, but that's just me. But I think that anybody who puts their name on the ballot has backbone, and I appreciate everybody who does it. The presentation by Rachel, that's great, and I commented on that earlier. September 18th is Township Cleanup Day, I guess. It's a little neighborhood thing I read about in Circle. And I think on the 25th, and I'll let you comment on it, we have our Township Recycling Day. Is that correct?
Yes. So Recycle Day is a big event. It's the residential recycle day, so it's your opportunity to bring stuff that is hard to recycle for a small fee. Freon items can be recycled. I believe tires are accepted. E-waste is accepted. So all those things that are hard to get rid of, this is a great opportunity to come on out.
What's that date again? September?
18th is Organize Your Neighborhood Group and Cleanup Day, and the 25th is our event that's here on the administrative grounds, where you pull in, show ID to prove that you're a township resident, and we'll help you with refrigerators, TVs, big items that are hard to get rid of, that type of thing. And I know that it's been out on Circle, and if you'll make sure that gets out repeatedly over the next 10 days or so, that would be great. So I guess that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Dan, you want to?
Sure. I'll be very, very brief. Just thank you to, the police, fire, public works, administration, finance, all the departments working so diligently. Mr. Mills, thank you for your patience, for my questions, which are always around how can we get more trash picked up. It's become kind of a cause of frustration for me, is that we wouldn't need to do this if people would have some sense and take care of where they live. And I believe that the world or the earth is a gift from God, and that we morally owe a responsibility to take care of it. And so it's sometimes is a little frustrating to see that. The 9/11, just to say again, thank you for putting that together. And just want to remind people, and I did some kind of research into this over the past couple of weeks, the 513relief.org, if you're in Hamilton County and need assistance with things like rent, utility, even if small businesses need it, the county has a good deal of money to hand out. And I think that's it. And please be sure to take advantage of the 18th with the cleanup and 25th with the recycle. And have a good 2 weeks.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Dan, for your reports. I want to make a great announcement today. This exciting announcement. And several meetings I've been telling that I've been working with the Metro, the bus, SODA, and especially the CEO, Daryl Haley, the Vice President, Clifford, about a Metro bus for the bus pullout, and also putting a new bench, new shelter. And I spoke to him. Daryl Haley and Clifford said, go and apply for the grant. Then I talked to Mr. Mills and Jackie. He said, let's go and apply for the grant. And these guys work so hard. It's very tedious application, very carefully drafted applications. And Jeff Weckbach, Mike McElroy, Jeff McElroy. Sorry, McElroy comes first. Jeff, McElroy, yeah, Jeff, Jeff and Jackie. These guys, Jeff Eckbach, they all work so hard, submit this application. Guess what? Today, Daryl Haley called me. He said, Raj, I had a good news. The infrastructures allowed, they granted $400,000. $400,000 for the Colerain Township. I want to clap for Jeff. All this team. It's a teamwork. These guys work so hard to apply for this grant. Guess what? Paid off. Today he called me, the CEO called me, we are granted $400,000 for the Colerain Township, which we will build. They will build the bus pull-out, and also the beautification of the landscape and sidewalk, access to the handicap, and also put a certain place, they put a shade, and also put a permanent bench, and also they're putting, installed the garbage cans. It's all, and Jeff will, both Jeffs will work on this, how to do this work, the money, how you can spend the money, you can do that. That's a great news. I'm really excited about that. I want to thank Metro, the board, and also Daryl Haley, Collad. Thank you for helping our township. Then I also got a good news. Then I met with the ODOT people last week at the Lebanon, the director. And if you go down the south of Colerain Avenue, there's like a lot of manholes sinking. It's getting deeper and deeper, especially when you pass the Northgate Mall down on the south, a lot of manholes. And if you drive through, it's almost damage your car. That's why this is a big problem. And they put it on the list. They're going to fix that. And there are a lot of curb is breaking, falling out down the south of Galbraith Road, especially south of Colerain Avenue. From if you're coming north of Colerain Avenue, before you get to the Galbraith Road, the whole sidewalk is really crumbling. The pavement curb is crumbling, and they're gonna fix it. So these are like a very great news. Like Jeff mentioned about the sidewalks from Colerain Avenue to the Laura Linda, building a sidewalk is a go up to the Taylor Elementary School, right? That's safety for our children. That Springdale Road sidewalks is needed. I just want to thank these guys. They worked so tirelessly. When the last time I got the $700,000 something, the grant to build the sidewalk on the Northwest School, they submitting the application has to be very meticulous, because when we go into the competition for the grant, it has to be meticulous, given the data, analysis, everything has to be very careful. And these guys, a wonderful team, they submitted. And thank you, guys. And other thing also, like I said earlier, I'm start working with the probation department, the community service program, to help us to pick up the litters and help CCA group, Community Action, Colerain Committee Agency, to help them. I also want to thank Historical Society. They make them proud of our Colerain Township, all the things they do for us. So this is my exciting news today, and thank you.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda, let's go for the new business.
So I have an item of new business.
Go ahead.
Believe it or not. The October 10th meeting, and I hate to have to do this, but I would like to motion to reschedule that for either the 3rd or the 17th. I know that we approved, what's the process? Can we change even though it's been approved?
Can amend the meeting schedule?
Yeah.
Yes, that can be
So-
done.
So I don't know, I don't have a motion yet because I don't know the 3rd works better for people or the 17th, but that's the one Tuesday night commitment that I have all year at my day job, and I can't get out of it, so.
I have to think about that for a minute. Raj, how's it look for you?
Is it 10th? Is it the 10th? Maybe I have it wrong. The 12th. I keep saying the 10th, the 12th, so it would have to be the 5th.
The 10th is a Sunday.
Yeah, so it's the 12th. I don't know why I keep saying the 10th. The 12th, then I need to change it to the 5th or the 19th. I think the 5th would make more sense.
We have a meeting on the 28th, so the meeting on the 5th would be the week after that.
Right.
How's that? What would work best for the administration? Doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, we'll do whatever you need.
I mean, I guess,
I'm probably good on the 5th.
okay. So can I motion for the 5th, Raj?
Go ahead.
I mean, can you make it, Raj, if he does?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to motion,
I'll motion that we amend the agenda and then make your motion. I motion we amend the agenda to include another item. Is that how we have to do it?
under new business? Okay, yeah.
I don't believe that you have to amend the agenda, but you could just make a motion. But if you want to amend the agenda, you can.
All right, I'll motion to amend the agenda to make an amendment to the meeting calendar.
I'll second it.
Just real quick, a consideration. We have public hearings that may be set for October 12th, and those public hearings are on a timetable. Let me think about that. So the problem. So what happens is
push it up, right?
These things are going to the zoning commission this month, and there is a period of time after the zoning commission makes its takes its action in which the trustees have to hold a public hearing, and I just don't have that off the top of my head. What if, since we do have one more meeting between now and the 13th or the 5th, could we do the research to figure out?
Sure,
Okay.
sure, absolutely. I appreciate your willingness to kind of work with me on this. It's just, I don't know, it's never happened where this has been an issue. They've always been Wednesday nights, and I have a Tuesday night that pays the bill, so.
Right, so we need to leave the 5th, 12th, and 19th open. I'll make sure I do that.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Is that
So
okay?
then I'll withdraw that motion about,
Is that okay, Raj?
Sure.
Okay.
thank you so much for your help on that.
Great. Okay. Okay, so I will report back on the 28th as to how the timing works with those zoning public hearings. Okay. The first item of new business this evening, actually the first 8 items come from public safety and will be presented by Chief Denny.
Lots of resolving for you guys to do here. All right. First item is recommended adoption of a resolution allowing for the removal of uncontrolled vegetation and/or refuse at the following properties. Scott, am I required to? Do I need to read the parcel IDs or just the address? Okay. The address. Okay. The following addresses are 9284 Burgess, 2451 Birthbrook, 10534 Breeds Hill, 2964 Butterwick, 6754 Cheviot, 9161 Coogan, 6601 Flagstone, 2550 Galbraith, 11403 Gravenhurst, 9970 Hollis, 8371 Jackies, 2757 Klondike, 2670 Merriway, 10303 Moonflower, 2781 Leota, 3295 Rinda, 2448 Roosevelt, a second 2448 Roosevelt. Those are 2 separate parcel numbers. 2456 Roosevelt, 2458 Roosevelt, 2464 Roosevelt, 2468 Roosevelt, 2474 Roosevelt, 2476 Roosevelt, 2486 Roosevelt, 6007 Sheets, 2984 Sheldon, 2487 Stockport, and 9852 Wiscasset.
I would motion that we approve the resolution declaring nuisance and ordering abatement on the properties that Chief Denny just read off.
I second it.
I'd like to comment on one of them, or on several of them. The 9284 Burgess, I've got a call on that because I always say 404-3057. I went over and looked at it Labor Day weekend. I looked at it Monday, which was Labor Day. I was there Tuesday, and there was a giant pile of trash. Somebody must have got evicted or something all over the side of the house. We did get it tagged and made that 7-day note. I went over there 2 days later, it wasn't cleaned up. I was over there Friday, it wasn't cleaned up. I went there today, all the trash is gone. However, there is broken glass between the sidewalk and the curb, and there's a significant amount of it to the point where I wouldn't walk down the sidewalk. So I think it still needs to be a thank you to the property owner for getting it cleaned up, but they need to get out there with a rake or something. There's just shards of glass everywhere. All these ones on Roosevelt, I did go over and look at those, and it's a lot of tall grass and junk and needs to be cleaned up. And right in the midst of all that, on the north side of the road, there is a beautifully well-kept house that belongs to a senior citizen over there who just does a marvelous job with her property, and it's a shame that everything around it is a mess. So I'm glad we're on top of this and going over to get those cleaned up as soon as possible. So those are my comments, if there was any other discussion.
No, just thank you for staying on top of these.
Thank you, Chief. I think merging code enforcement and police department makes a big difference.
It does.
Thank you.
I also went and looked at that 8371 Jackie's, and it's becoming a grass field over there. So no more comments from me.
Thank you, sir. We got Mr. Baker, a roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
Next item is recommended adoption of a resolution declaring a vehicle located at 2451 Birthbrook Drive a junk vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 36-21.
I'm waiting for it to come up on the screen. I motion that we would approve the resolution declaring vehicle located at 2451 Birthbrook Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45231 as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 3621. It looks like it's a white, there's two of them there. There's a white GMC van and a tan Ford minivan. I have seen those also, and they have been sitting there apparently a very long time.
I'll second that.
Any discussions?
Not for me.
Thanks. Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
Next item, recommend adoption of a resolution declaring a vehicle located at 3338 Grovewood Drive a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 36-21. That vehicle is a gray Chevrolet Venture.
I motion that we approve the resolution declaring the vehicle located at 3338 Grovewood Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45251, pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 3621. I motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
Any discussions? Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
Aye.
So I recommend adoption of a resolution declaring a vehicle located at 3484 Niagara Street a junk vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 36-21. That vehicle is a black BMW.
I will motion to I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring vehicle located at 3484 Niagara Street as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution number 36-21.
I will second that motion.
Any discussions?
This is the big next step using our junk motor vehicle law, and now we're moving in and getting some of these very long-term problems out. So there's several of these on the agenda yet this evening. But we do have to read each one separately, so no other comments from me.
Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Next resolution recommend adoption of a resolution declaring vehicle located at 6007 Sheets as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 3621. These are two vehicles, a red Chevy pickup and a dark blue Volkswagen Jetta.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring vehicle located at 6007 Sheets Road as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution number 36-21.
I will second it.
Any discussions? If not, go roll call. Mr. Baker?
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Next is recommend adoption of a resolution declaring a vehicle located at 7778 Colerain Avenue as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 36-21. This is a white Ford Econoline van.
I'll motion to adopt a resolution declaring vehicle located at 7778 Colerain Avenue as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution number 36-21.
I will second it.
Any discussions? Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Recommend adoption of a resolution declaring vehicle located at 8806 Nabita Drive as a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 36-21. It's a silver Toyota Corolla.
I motion that we approve a resolution declaring it. You just said 8806 Nabita?
Yes.
Resolution declaring the vehicle located at 8806 Nabita Drive pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 3621. I motion for approval.
Second.
Any discussions?
Yes, when we say 3621, what we're talking about is a resolution adopted by this board on May 11th, 2021, so we could really start getting a lot of these cars and vans out of the yard. That's what this is all about.
That's great. This is a big nuisance, this cars parked, the block, the street. You know, it's incredible that how they, I think it's a good thing, Chief, they're removing these cars.
Yep, clean it up.
Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Final items of resolution declaring vehicle located at 9192 Neal Drive a junk motor vehicle and causing for the removal pursuant to Colerain Township Resolution 36-21. This is a white Chevy Express.
I motion that we approve a resolution declaring the vehicle located at 9192 Neal Drive pursuant to Resolution 3621. I motion for approval.
Second.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I second it. Any discussions?
No, not from me.
All right. Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you, Chief. Great job.
Thanks.
Okay.
Public service?
Yes, no, nothing in public service, Mr. Rajagopal, but we were just looking at some of the dates and rules in the zoning resolution because the next item sets public hearings for October 12th, but if we're not going to have October 12th, we need to set those for another date. So it appears as though, just from our conversations, that if you wanted to set it for your next meeting for October 5th by motion, then now would be a good time to do that, and then we can set these public hearings for October 5th.
Okay, I thought that within the ERC we'd be fine under, we're in the timeline with the 5th, right? All right, so at this point I'm going to motion to, I guess I'm going to motion to change the agenda to include a motion to change the meeting calendar for 2021.
I will second it.
Okay, any discussions?
None.
So your event that's on October 12th over at the high school, is there any, what time is that? Is that an evening thing?
6 to 9.
Okay, yeah, so it just isn't going to work.
Right,
Okay,
it's-
I'm fine with the 5th.
Yeah, it couldn't be any worse.
Okay. So
Okay, Any
I have
further?
no other discussion of changing, of setting a new meeting for the 5th.
Well, actually, right now, we're just changing the agenda.
Okay. Okay. I seconded the motion to change the agenda.
Okay, in the discussion, we already
Right.
decided. Okay. Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye. Thank you. I'd also like to motion now to change the meeting calendar for 2021 to change the regular Board of Trustee meeting from October 12th to October 5th.
I will second that.
Okay. Any discussions?
No.
None? If none, Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye. Thank you, everyone, for your flexibility in this.
Welcome, Mr. Matt.
Very good. Then the next two items are a recommendation to adopt a motion to set a public hearing for, rather than what it says in the agenda, for October 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m. for case number ZA 2021-07 related to mobile food service text amendments. And the way that'll be an opportunity for residents to discuss our proposal on regulating food trucks.
So, a point of inquiry here, or point of order, do we need to do a motion to amend each? Okay.
We already decided.
So I'll motion to set public hearing on October 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m., ZA 2021-07, Mobile Food Service Tax Amendment.
I second it. Any discussions?
No.
Okay, if none, Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Very good. The next item is a motion to set a public hearing on October 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m. for case number ZA 2021-06. This is a zoning map amendment for a property located at 11810 East Miami River Road. Recommendation is to approve.
So I'll motion to set public hearing on October 5th, 2021 at 7 p.m., ZA 2021-06, zoning map amendment, 11810 East Miami River Road.
I second it. Any discussions?
None from me.
Okay. If not, Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger,
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal,
Aye.
Mr. Waller.
Aye.
Okay.
Good. Thank you, Board. The next item is perhaps the one that I am most excited about on this agenda. This is a resolution adopting the comprehensive plan for Colerain Township. We discussed this in previous meetings. There was some feedback about changes to be made. Those changes have been made. The full plan is available on imaginecolerain.com, and we are pleased to recommend the adoption of a resolution adopting the comprehensive plan for Colerain Township.
So I'll resolve to adopt the comprehensive plan that has been provided for Colerain Township.
Okay, I second it. Any discussions?
Yes, and as time goes by, a majority of the board could amend it.
Oh, absolutely, and hopefully will, because the vision changes over time, and we hope that it remains a living document. And frankly, the fact that it's a digital document makes it easier to make changes. So yes, absolutely.
Great. I repeatedly said many times, we got our plan, we got our comprehensive plan. I think we stick with the plans. Okay? In the previous administrations, they didn't have any comprehensive plans. They don't have any strategic goals, no plan. Now, since we come in, we have a comprehensive plans, administrative plans. We brought all the leadership together. We developed a strategic plan, goals, and we are going by that. It's like a scale to follow the path. Appreciate doing this. I think we discussed about the comprehensive plan last meetings and some modification we made. So this is great for the future of the township.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, you finished?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'll just add a couple things that really stuck out to me. Rental registry, a list of available parcels for commercial property, incentive programs to attract residents, intergovernmental coordination are all things that I think are great ideas. I think the one thing we can build on maybe as we add to this is, and we had a presentation from the Glendale Smith Youth Sanctuary tonight, and I know we do a lot with working in neighborhoods is adding that component, intergovernmental coordination and non-government organizations, I think are picking, you know, the YMCA are picking up a very important role in society now. But it's a very thorough, well thought out. I view it as aspirational, that we're not going to check them all off at once. There's a lot to do there. But what that looks like would be incredible. So thank you for your hard work on that.
And if you review the agenda that's been posted since Friday, it mentions that the previous plan was adopted in April 2005. This current plan has been worked on, and a work session was held with our zoning commission on August 4th of last year. That's correct.
That makes sense.
And then on July 1st of this year, the Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission looked at it, and they had another meeting about it on August 5th of 21. And then at the August 17th, 2021, our zoning commission voted unanimously to approve the plan. So this has been looked over by a number of organizations and different people. And I just, the whole staff report is contained within our agenda.
Great. Any further discussions?
None for me.
Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Wallach?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you, Board. The next item is a resolution authorizing the advance of funds to the Community Development Block Grant Fund, and I'll invite Mr. McElravy to come up and introduce this item.
Good evening once again.
Hello.
The item before you is a resolution authorizing the advance of funds from the general fund to the Community Development Block Grant Fund. In the 2020 strategic plan and budget, the board appropriated funds to complete the Groesbeck Strategic Reinvestment Plan. And that work is underway, and the invoices are starting to come in. The county, who awards the block grant funding to the township, has changed its process for how it handles these invoices. In the past, they would pay them directly, but now they are expecting their subrecipients to go ahead and pay those invoices and then submit them to the county for reimbursement. So in order to accomplish that, we need to advance funds from the general fund to the Community Development Block Grant Fund, because there actually are no funds in the Community Development Block Grant Fund. And then once the county reimburses the township, what we will do is book that receipt to the Community Development Block Grant Fund and then repay the advance. And this is a method that we're going to need to use going forward with everything that we fund through Community Development Block Grant. So the staff recommendation is the authorization of the advance of the funds.
I motion that to approve the resolution authorizing the advancement of township monies from the general fund to the township's Community Development Block Grant Fund, Fund number 2908, and returned upon reimbursement. And that part of the return is described in the resolution.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussions?
Not from me.
No.
Thank you, Jeff. It was good report on this.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Wallach?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. McElravy. That concludes new business, and Mr. Rajagopal, there's no old business, but there are a few items on the consent agenda. The first is a contract with Duke Energy. This is a right of entry for authorizing Duke to have access to one of our properties. The next is a contract with UniFirst to provide floor mats. This agreement allows the township to have various floor mats. It'll be maintained every other week, $28.70 per service. The next item is a contract with Aurorco. This is an update to our software that will facilitate help to facilitate our self-insurance plan that we just established. The next item is a engagement letter with Plattenberg. We discussed this earlier for the preparation of our 2021 financial statements. We engage with an accounting firm, provide assistance in the preparation of our yearly financial statements. This process provides the township with a critical check on various compliance measures and helps to ensure an efficient end-of-year closeout. The next item on the consent agenda is another engagement letter with Plattenberg to for the 2021 schedule of expenditures of federal awards, otherwise known as a CFA. This will allow the township to have access to accounting services for the preparation of our CFA. And finally, we have a donation acceptance to the administration department in the amount of $1,000. Belvedere Productions has donated $1,000 to Colerain Township, and they appreciated the opportunity to film a film in Colerain Park. Recommendation is to approve all items on the consent agenda.
I'll motion to approve the consent items A through F is provided in the meeting packet.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussions?
What was the film?
I forget. I'll find out and let you know.
All right.
Yep.
But thank you. We'll thank the donors. Yeah. Okay. We have a motion, right?
Yep.
To accept, and any discussions?
All these items are posted in our agenda, which has been available since Friday.
Yes, sir.
And I've had a chance to review them, and I did see the one for the donation from Belvedere. And I guess to answer anybody's question, it was they came in our park and filmed something.
Yes, and they had a great experience and wanted to donate to the township as a way of saying thanks.
I think they probably filmed at Colerain Elementary too, if that was the same one, yeah.
And no other comments from me.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Baker. Roll call.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen. We've accomplished a lot tonight.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the fiscal office report.
Thank you, Board. I don't have much tonight, but I did want to mention I think when we hear about results from the audit, and a lot of people just kind of expect those type of answers, and I just want to thank personally Jeff McElravy for the job that he's done. It seems like we finished up 2018 and 2019 audits, which also were favorable, and immediately went into a 2020 audit. And the work that is done in that department to get those audits done, all while doing all of the other responsibilities, the vast responsibilities that the finance department has, to do those and then to come out with 4 stars when, I just challenge anyone to look at other townships. They don't get those kind of scores, and they also don't have the budget that we do. So to accomplish those things is a great feat, and I just wanted to personally thank Jeff McElravy for the job that he's done. So that's all I have.
So I want to thank you, Jeff McElravy, for your work responding to the auditing all this work you done. Thank you. All right, the next to the agenda is, thanks, Mr. Baker. There's no executive sessions we need.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then calls for the next on the agenda is adjournment. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, I second it. Any discussions?
6 p.m., that's the way to get us out of here before 9 o'clock.
Okay, Mr. Baker, roll call, please.
Mr. Unger? Aye. Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Waller?
All right.
Thank you.
The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you
Have a good
for
night. Thanks
everyone
the
for watching and
meeting
being
and
here.
the meeting.